My name is Nathaniel Sperger. I'm with the Women's Business Center of North Carolina. We, additionally from hosting meetings like this and talking about starting businesses and business plan, we also do personalized business counseling, and we try to help business owners or just somebody with an idea on how to get that idea going, what steps they need to take, who they need to talk to, additionally from us, and just try to help them out with that process of going from an idea to a business, or from a business into some funding and growing that business. So that's basically what we do. And yeah, we're very happy for everybody that's here, and hope it's a great session.
Awesome, awesome. And Miss Kimberly, how are you? Let me see. Oh no, you're muted right now, Miss Kimberly.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I am doing well. Were you at our last session?
No, I was not. I don't think so.
Okay.
You were at one of them. I remember you, but yeah.
Yeah, I was at several of them, but not. I don't think the last one here.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. I was going to say, I definitely recognize you for sure. So you are in for a treat, Miss Ma'am, because you are here live and you're going to be able to get a lot of questions answered and things like that. But if you would, could you just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself and your business?
Yes, I'm Kimberly Badham in Eastern North Carolina in Wilson, and I'm on a real estate firm, A Step Ahead Realty. I opened up the firm last year in February.
Awesome, awesome. And what are you looking to do in your business this year? Just a quick question for you.
This year, I am really trying to help more first-time home buyers. Inventory is very low, so I'm trying to help them hopefully build new construction.
Okay.
And it's a couple communities here in our area that I would like to try to rehab and bring back the vision of community, because that's what we're lacking in this area.
Awesome. Awesome job. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. Nathaniel, if you could provide co-host privileges to the user of mine that is static. So the one that just has my picture, that's not live right now because I'm actually on two devices and I want to share. And I certainly want to take an opportunity to introduce Julius and Julie. And in fact, they're really going to introduce themselves. We're going to just have a really great, exciting conversation. So looking forward to that. But I want to just share quickly my screen, and you guys already know who I am. Serena Moore Thomas, a business developer, strategy advisor, speaker, trainer, author, also host of the BMW Life podcast, where we talk all about boss mom, wife life. Okay. I have had the opportunity to work with many of you over the last 12 months, myself, Mr. Glenn Henderson, Coach A.M. Williams. You've heard from Cassandra Davis, that we've brought in a ton of speakers and subject matter experts to support you in your business growth. I am the CEO of both Serena Speaks LLC and the Highmark Group LLC, and we are a management consulting firm. We create and customize training programs for awesome organizations like the Women's Business Center, as well as small businesses and things like that. We specialize in federal contracting and in teaching small businesses how to succeed in the federal marketplace. But at the core of us as a company and myself as an individual, I am extremely passionate about seeing small businesses succeed, period. Okay. I am very passionate about providing tools, resources, and things to help you advance in your business, to help you grow. And so that's what we try to do here. And all of our guests that we invite to join us share the same passion. And there's a couple things you can fake, but you cannot fake passion. Amen. Amen. So passion, it exudes out of us, and it's because seriously, we want to see you succeed. We recognize that small businesses are the backbone of our economy. They're the engine that runs our economy. One, so we understand that. Two, I know what it's like to be starting a business with absolutely no money, no funds, no resources, and very little experience. And so I know that bootstrap life. I arrived at the Women's Business Center as a teenage mom of twins when I was starting my first business. That business turned into well over $1 million in sales in like 5 or 6 years. And I've gone on to run several other multi-million-dollar operations. And I'm excited to always share what I'm learning, what I'm still learning, right? So I'm going to speak to you always from a small business owner perspective. And oftentimes that can be missed when you're working with other organizations. And we recognize that, many times you get a lot of what to do, but not the how to. And so we try to provide the how to. Enough about Serena, really. I mean, Serena has done some amazing things in business, and it's because honestly, a persistent, consistent effort. 1, 2, favor ain't fair, but it's all over me. And that's another. And so, just really being faithful to my call and mission, and at the core, just serving, right? So serving and solving problems, and we've been able to accomplish a lot in doing so. The last time we met, this is my lovely family, because I'm a regular family girl. We are a family of entrepreneurs. So I speak entrepreneurship fluently. My kids have businesses, right? So this is what we do. And this is definitely who we are. So the last time we met, just really quick before we dive into the panel, we talked about some of the free resources that were available. These organizations, in addition to the Women's Business Center. So you already know what's available at the Women's Business Center, but we talked about some of the free resources and how to properly utilize the free resources. So go back and get that recording if you were not able to see that. We also did an exercise called Control Alt Delete. We talked about some of the things that you need to control, that you can control, which is your time. You can control yourself. You can control those kinds of things, right? And so we talked a little bit about that, what behaviors we need to alter. So that was the alt. What do we need to alter when we talk about growing our businesses? And then what things do we need to delete, let go of? And you guys know when you press all 3 of these buttons at the same time on your computer, and if you're a Mac user, Shift Command Delete. But if you press all 3, you have a couple of options, and they are shut down, restart, or go to sleep, right? And we want you not to shut down. We certainly don't want you to go to sleep. We want you to restart. And so we talked about a reboot strategy the last time we came together. And as part of this reboot, we want to bring our panelists on that so that we can have this conversation, because the one thing that COVID-19 has proven to us is that it has exposed some areas of weakness for many, but it has also simultaneously exposed many areas of opportunities. And that's where we want to focus our attention and our energy. So our panelists that are going to be joining us today will be sharing really on their strategies and how they have been able to reboot, recalibrate, reintroduce, and in some cases restart during this time. And so I'm going to stop sharing for a moment, and then I'm going to bring up our 2 panelists. Our first one is Julius Walker, and Julius is the president, CEO, founder of Epic Tech. Okay, and Julius is going to be sharing some information from us. He has a thriving business, and I am excited to be able to speak with him. And then we have Julie, who is, they didn't come together, guys, just happens to be Julius and Julie. Did y'all come together? They did not come together. So Julie is here, and she's going to be sharing a little bit about her business and what she's doing in the area of fitness. And I'm having a hard time. Kill the Day. That's right. Kill the Day. Kill the Day LLC. Is that correct, Julie? Oh, well, yes. So they're a wellness company.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, yes. So Kill the Day LLC, they're a wellness brand, and they were born in 2018. And she is certainly on a mission herself, and she's going to tell us a little bit more about what she's been able to do and the ways that she's rebooted, restarted, re-strategized, or just reintroduced something in this new climate. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen and go back to our panel here. Stop share. Okay. So what I'd like to do is start our conversation with Julius. If you could just take a moment and introduce yourself. Tell us about your company, what it is that you're doing for the new business owners, which many will watch this. Tell us how you started, right? And then kind of how you've been able to grow, and we'll dive into some more current stuff in a minute.
Okay, can you hear me properly?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So my name is Julius Walker. I am the principal over at Epic Tech Group. We are a turnkey audiovisual and IT firm. We specialize in live production, system integration, and also design work. So that stems all the way from house of worships down to corporate and commercial clients. We're just starting to dip into the residential space, and I'll explain why we didn't dip into the residential space moving forward. But my previous background, I specialize in corporate sales. I worked for a software company before I went out on my own 8 years ago, where we designed medical simulation centers across the world, actually. So I handled all of the West Coast in Canada and some of Asia for about a year until I got tired of 14-hour flights. Have a great understanding of corporate enterprise sales and building up a sales team and things like that. So on the Epic side, what we pride ourselves on, my wife is actually the president of the company. She brings a strong administrative side, which I have that side. I'm heavily on the technical side. So my wife handles all HR with our HR representative, and I handle all deployment. So it allows us to be able to spread our wings collectively to be able to provide a solid solution for our client base. So I don't know how much more in detail you want me to go. But
yeah, I'm gonna circle back and ask some questions, but definitely that's good right there. Thank you so much. Miss Julie, could you introduce yourself to our audience?
Hello, everyone. My name is Julie Jefferson. I am the co-founder of Kill the Day LLC. My husband is our other co-founder. We founded Kill the Day in 2018 with just a passion of wanting to inspire people to kill the day every day. And how we were going to do that was not initially clear, but we both have a love for fitness. And as I came into motherhood, my love for just being healthy evolved. And so we slowly, sorry, my little people are home. We started with providing services such as personal training, and that kind of evolved, realizing that fitness overflows into people's lives in every facet, right? Wellness is not just working out, it is not just eating right. It is all of the person. And so now, rather than referring to myself as a personal trainer, I refer to myself as a wellness coach, because lots of my sessions don't even involve exercising. It involves how do we set goals in general for yourself, for you to feel good about yourself, for you to wake up and say, how am I going to kill the day today? And what does that look like? And sometimes that's, I had a really bad day. Sometimes I've helped several of my clients start their own businesses because they said they were passionate about something, but they don't want to work full time for a company. It really has beautifully evolved. And I love the idea of referring to myself as a wellness coach. So that I can impact people's lives. On top of that, we do a Monday motivation chat on Instagram every Monday. We kind of pause that due to life and COVID and so many things that we'll get into later, where we just bring people on because everyone has a story. Everyone on this panel has a story.
Yeah.
All of us have obstacles we've overcome, triumphs and wins and losses, and something that we've learned. And all of those nuggets of information we can impart to other people. And so that's where Monday Motivation Chat came from. And it was just our way to like learn from other people, but also share these stories. And one more thing, through this experience in COVID, we also launched our nonprofit called Kick the Day, which is the version, the Kid the Day version of how to help and empower kids to kick the day every day.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so we're going to dive a little more into the before everything was great story, right? Because as entrepreneurs and small business owners who have started from where we started from, it is always important that we share from the early phase, right? Because the questions I like to ask are things like, how did you get your first client? How did you even come up with the idea? And what was it like when it was hard? Because this entrepreneurial journey is just that. It's a journey, has lots of highs, lots of lows. There are some days you wish you had a 9-to-5. There are other days where you're like, okay, I thought I hired some people and I'm not sure. There are other days when you're like, we can do it. We can win it. And that's a part of the process. So Julius, if you can talk to me about like when it wasn't good, how was it?
So for me, it was very interesting. So when I jumped from corporate America, jumped as a top sales guy making crazy money, and then went out and started a business. But in that, my wife caught cancer. So it was on top of launching a business, being a new dad, wife going through chemo and radiation, where it's like you putting business to family life, to being a husband, to being a new dad, to all that. So at that point, it's like you start questioning yourself, like, do I go back?
Wow.
Like, do I keep pushing? So it's like, everything's being pulled from you, but you also have to build in the process, because it's kind of like, as a man too, it's like that pride is like, I'm not going back. I can't go back. Like I left, like I can't go back, but life is coming your way. So for me, is the center of all my decisions. I'm a believer. So the center of my is going into that place and asking for clearance and discernment on the moves that I make. In that dark time, I can tell you, I give a clear example. Left had a lot of money in the bank account. The cancer bills started coming in. The other bills of the business started coming in, and the account went very high to start dwindling down. So I remember one time about 7 years ago, we were at 17 cents. Wife had no idea. She was like, I'm going out to buy groceries. I was like, I don't think that's a good idea, but she didn't know. So we were at the business. A client came in, wanted to rent some equipment. It was about $1,600 in cash. Immediately went to the bank, put the money in. So she never even noticed that we were going through it until, we had that conversation. Because one thing I didn't want to do in launching the business is to add extra stress. And you know what that does when somebody's going through that. So that was my introduction, because I come from an entrepreneur family. But that was my introduction of like leaving corporate, where you have comfortability. You know that even if you do half good of a job, you're still going to get paid unless you get fired, right? To coming out and saying, hey, you eat what you hunt. And when you can't clearly hunt, you're not eating as much.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
you know, that was that balance that I went through initially starting the business. So I hope that kind of answered your question.
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. And I mean, this is a typical entrepreneur type story. And this is the part that is often left out, but it's the most relatable, right? Because we know what it's like to have like literally absolutely nothing and still be committed to this journey. And so the one thing that I wanted to ask you is that period of time before leaving corporate, right? So what was that like? Like, when did you know it was time to jump? Were you already started? Were you moonlighting as a small business owner?
I had my company in the process, but I don't have, like, in my life, I've eliminated fear. So like I eliminated
Okay.
fear, but I'm also strategic in a way as well. So I've always learned is to learn on other people's money.
Right.
So me being director of sales for the region, I learned how to execute contracts at a high level, go through the contract process, like do corporate sales. So I was just like lining up the time to leave.
Right.
What really pushed the button. So we had this big corporate conference in San Francisco, and I was literally going through TSA, about to get on the flight, and I get a phone call from my in-laws that my son is in the hospital. He had a seizure, he had an ear infection, fever went up, you know, in-laws went crazy, can't explain what's going on. And I didn't go, went straight to the hospital. And while I'm in the hospital, I get a call from the VP and from the owners like, hey, we heard what's going on, like figure it out. The owner was like, you know, don't worry about, you know, everything, we'll get it handled. So later that day, around 3 o'clock, he comes home and it happens again. So we had to rush to the hospital. So around 5 o'clock, I'm in the emergency room. You know, when everybody have children, you know, it's like everything shuts off.
For sure.
So I get a call from the VP, and he's like, "So did you find a flight tonight?" And at that point, I was like,
Yeah.
he doesn't care about me.
Right.
And I don't know who else in the chain above, which I believe the owners actually care because I still have a relationship with them till today.
Right.
But in the rest of that chain, I'm like, that is a pure example of I'm their top guy. They don't care about my personal. They just want to see the dollars roll in.
Right.
If I can get it for them, I can get it for myself. So I told
Right.
my wife, I said, "Do you trust me?"
Right.
And she said yes. And I gave him my notice, and they would try everything in their process. Can we counter? And I said, you can't counter my personal dream. Like, so from there we jumped, and that was the before the jump.
Oh yeah. I mean, I remember sitting in my office saying things like, I am way too talented sitting behind this desk. Like, there's just so much more, there's something more out there. And for me, it was like the thing that would never go to sleep, right? So Julie, we're going to jump around a little bit, but this is a conversation for anybody that is joining. As you have questions, what I'd like to do is open this up, you know, so that you can, you know, insert your questions. You can type them in the chat. Nathaniel is watching the chat, but if you want to just say, you know, ask a question or whatever, even as we're talking, raise your hand, because I want this to be more conversational. At the end of the day, this is about you getting what you need as the business owner. So Julie, we'll go back to you now. When things, I know things are awesome right now. You're still smiling and stuff. And it looks good. So talk to us a little bit too about when things were not so awesome. Like what was going on, you know, some of your challenges as an entrepreneur in getting started.
So in the present moment, we're kind of like rebirthing, relaunching quite a few things. And so I wouldn't say good, but I definitely would say we found some even ground, and in myself found some peace in life and in unknown. But so when we started Heal the Day again, we didn't know what direction we were going to go, but we knew we wanted to impact lives. We knew we wanted to build a community. Then we discovered, okay, fitness is the way to go. Wellness is the way to go. This is where we're really connecting with people. And it's like a magnet. getting our clients wasn't an effort. And I'm not a salesperson. It's not my forte. I don't like sales. It makes me nervous. I get anxiety about it. And so when we realized that in wellness, people were just gravitating to us, I said, okay, this feels right. There's nothing forced about this. And then in just connecting with people and impacting the lives that we have, we're like, yep, this is the way to go. We're just going to keep following the path that the universe is bringing to us. And even in doing that, it's been highs and lows. You have people come and go when clients say you're going to commit to the time and they don't commit to the time. When contracts fall, it's all of these highs and lows. And I'm sure all of you can relate in one way or another. When COVID hit, I could no longer see clients in a gym. So we had to figure out, what are we gonna do? At the time, I wasn't open to this idea of online classes, nor had I taught group classes. It was always one-on-one. The idea of this group setting, I was nervous about. And so as we started trying to re-strategize, what are we going to do? How are we going to meet with people? A lot of Zoom was happening. I discovered what Zoom was when I could no longer go into a gym. And then realizing in the realm of income, how can we maximize time to people? Because I cannot work out 24 hours a day. My body cannot realistically sustain that. So we started to do online classes, and I started to find my groove and my comfortability in groups, but still struggling with, I don't feel the connection was so important to me, because through the connection you make the impact. And so then through there we started playing around with like different apps to create the community and create the connection. So we use the app called Band, and Band is amazing.
I love
wish
bands.
I
Oh
love
my
it
God.
so much.
Yes.
You could do everything there. Like it's like a Facebook group, but not, and it's
But
still
private.
Yes, and you can make phone calls on there. You can whoever invented it is genius, and it's free.
Right.
And I'm seeing all of the different ways they have pivoted through COVID too. Like they are very corporate now. Like in their marketing, they're like, hey, you can do HR better with Band. You can hire better with Band. It's really beautiful to have seen them grow through this process. But with Band, it's a closed, right? It's private. People don't know you're there unless you invite them there. So I said, okay, we've built this small little community. How do we keep growing?
Right.
And so we tried Facebook, because I'm like, okay, people are on Facebook. Lots of people are on Facebook. So what if we could do classes there where they're already on this app, it's already on their phone or whatever their device, and let's try it there. Now, the challenge with social media and marketing, all that, it's consistency, and it literally becomes another job you have to do, which I have not mastered. So I do not have any knowledge to impart on how to successfully do this social media thing. In addition to, I'm home with my kids. We have not let them go back to school yet. So I am homeschool mom and trying to run the business. And so all of that is still, every day is learning. And life happened. So classes were going well. It was kind of up and down. People will show, people not, but I was kind of still going and still seeing my one-on-one clients. And then life happened. We had a death in the family. We moved into a new house. So I had to pause. And it was the best thing that the universe made me do, because I would not have done it willfully. And in the pause and not doing the classes, we were able to take time to, what are we going to do? What does this look like? How are we going to do it intentionally? Income is necessary, but I'm not driven by money. So how does this all make sense? We have to put food on the table. We have to pay the bills. We have this new home. How does this all make sense? And through the process, I was introduced to a platform called Moxie. And while we haven't fully launched there yet, there's some technical issues we have to figure out. I'm excited to be in Moxie is a platform where you go to exercise, right? There's different instructors there. So people not only can take my class, but they can take other people's classes. And that lifted a weight off my shoulders, because now the people that I'm serving have another community. They're part of a bigger community, and it's not just my responsibility to make sure when they work out. Right now I say, hey, so-and-so's offering a class on Monday. My classes are only Tuesday and Thursday. And now you have all of the other days of the week to fill in, and you're in a place with people that I feel trusted.
Yeah.
And they're going to provide quality, and they know what they're doing. And now I just kind of feeling a little bit of peace of now entering this partnership with Moxie and connecting with every person that is in my current community, and okay with the highs and lows of entrepreneurship. Because while I've seen entrepreneurship from the outside, my mom was an entrepreneur. I know Cassandra Davis very well. I've seen entrepreneurship from her view, and always from the outside.
Yeah.
All of my jobs were always in a small business. Somehow, I don't know why, probably to prepare me for this chapter of my life. But from the time I graduated college, I was in a startup, I was in a small business, and I saw from that perspective of what it took. So I'm kind of taking all of my nuggets of information, and here I am.
Yeah.
Doing my best.
Right. No, well, you both mentioned something really, really key. And if you have questions, raise your hand and just let us know. You can dive into this conversation. But you both mentioned something, and Julie, you just mentioned it, and it was about just learning and developing those transferable skills, right? So I have a saying that your job is a paid internship. And I talk about that all the time. I get paid to learn. That's like point blank, period. Everywhere, every opportunity is an opportunity for you to learn. And I remember when I was, this is a long, long time ago now, because I think I took the jump into full-time entrepreneurship. I was a teenage mom, so I had twins, but I was about 20 when I actually said, deuces, maybe 19, something like that. I was 20, little 20, maybe not just 21 yet, something like that. But anyhow, they were very, very young. And, but I remember being intentional even about the kinds of positions that I wanted, because I knew that they would pay me to learn. So I never went to work like, oh, I gotta go to work. It was like, oh no, it's all good because all of this is about to help me as I make the leap into full-time business owner. And so, whatever you have an opportunity to do, it is very important that you see it as opportunity. A favorite scripture of mine, and it is how I live my life, Colossians 3:23, whatever you do, work at it with all of your heart as unto the Lord, not unto man. So if I'm going to be a babysitter, I'm going to be the best babysitter you've ever seen. I promise you. If I'm going to work fries at McDonald's, I will be the best fry cook. Do you understand? And you better believe I'm looking at labels, I'm looking at process, I'm looking at all those things. And I'll just say this, and then I want someone else to insert a question. Well, I'm going to insert a question too, but I want to say this one thing. McDonald's was one of my jobs, right? As a young person. Something I learned very important from McDonald's is process. You go to McDonald's in Manhattan and you go to McDonald's in Texas, you getting that same Big Mac. That's why we keep going back, right? It is lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions. There's a process to it for a reason. And a process and a procedure, it ensures quality, right? And so I learned the importance of process through McDonald's. Who knew? So again, a learning opportunity. Or the resource, we shared it in the link that you mentioned, Band. The Band app, awesome for creating community. I'm actually about to use that for tenants in a building that I manage. So that is an incredible app. So you guys make sure you write that down. Julius, and then Nathaniel, I guess if there are any other questions, but Julius, what kind of resources did you discover specifically during the COVID time?
Yeah, so just me from my sales and technical background, I've always taken a non-car salesman approach. I'm more of like a relationship guy, go as deep inside of the opportunity relationship as possible. So when COVID happened, as you know, on the live production side, everything stopped,
Stops.
right?
Mhm.
So, you know, a lot of production companies went away, no conferences are happening. People were starting to live stream, but they utilized Zoom, and like, you know, the technology that's sitting on our shelves necessarily wasn't needed.
Right.
So one thing that, you know, came to my head is like, hey, you know, you're a believer, first of all. The house of worship is not prepared. You've been telling them, but put a campaign together to make sure they're really good. So we did that, and we haven't stopped integrating churches and house of worship since COVID
Oh,
happened.
wow.
One of the other things that I also realized, and I'm rereading a book that I was put on by my brother because he's an entrepreneur as well. It's called Who Not How.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great book by Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy. And that book pretty much, it's the answer for entrepreneurship, because I believe that entrepreneurship, that we have to be the person.
Mhm.
And in that mind is, I have to find the who's, not the how's.
That's right.
So the who's will make everything easier because they can cast vision. They can, you know, transition a vision. A how's can't produce results. They just do it.
Right.
So in a lot of entrepreneurships, we surround ourselves by a lot of how's instead of who's.
Mm-hmm.
So in reading that book, what I was saying is like, hey, look at my network right now. Like, who can I communicate with that needs me to not take a hit, and I need them to not take a hit.
Right.
So, and during COVID, so starting to create strategic alliances, because at the end of the day, I'm a type person, if I get brought in by another production company, I'm wearing your shirt.
Right.
Like, it doesn't have to say Epic Tech. Like,
Right.
at the end of the day, as long as that we're producing a quality product to the client, we can put on whatever logo, whatever shirt we need to. So throughout COVID, that's one of the steps that we took. We reassessed the team, because you'll find out whether your team is committed when stuff like COVID happens.
Yeah.
And then we also plan to scale during COVID. We didn't try to go down and say, hey, let's just try to maintain. At the hardest point, let's scale. Like, what is our plan to scale? And that's kind of
wait. But why? Because that's a mindset thing. So I need you to tell us, why were you planning to scale instead of planning to maintain?
So we looked at it as the plan to scale is because whenever you come out of something like this, there's a huge amount of opportunity. So in us scaling is that we need to be prepared for the opportunity while we're scaling, instead of waiting there and then trying to figure it out.
That is the key. That word, prepare now, though. Prepare now. It's almost
so
like praying.
In college. Yeah, in college, my old director used to say, piss poor preparation equals piss poor performance.
Boom.
So don't prepare to fail. So
Right.
that's always stuck in my head, is like being able to prepare yourself for the next move. And that's kind of what we did through COVID. Now in COVID, you know, we learned some things in the process. You know, you worked a couple extra hours to make sure the quality was there. But I can actually say that COVID was the best thing that happened to us.
Got it.
Out of this situation. And it really made me understand, and the way my mindset is that you are more powerful with a network than without.
For sure. One of my favorite. Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Nathaniel.
The question is, did you all make sure you had consistent revenue from your business before making the jump, I assume, to starting the business, or from your job? If not, what did you do to cover your bills and to live as you build and scaled your business?
So you want to go, Julie? I go. I don't want to do an audience. I can go. Okay. Okay. So in the entrepreneurship mindset is very different. It depends on like the scale of your business, right? If you're like a small mom and pop, then you have to do things because you know, you have to do it in a certain way. When you have payrolls on your back and things like that, you have to move a little differently. For me, I feared nothing, right? But I'm also strategic, right? So as we went in, when we started the business, if you always wait for the right amount to be in the bank account, you will do nothing.
Boom.
You know, you would do nothing, right?
You do nothing.
So there is some things of living beyond your means, growing beyond your means. That's a very true statement. But
Yeah.
all of us are intellectual enough to know where our limits are and where we need to push. There's certain things that I did that I didn't see the revenue, but I knew it was coming, but I had to do it. So what did that make me do? Take a less payroll to make certain stuff happen. But I knew if I held for 6 months, it's going to show up in the 7th month because it has to. And there's 2 reasons that it has to, is because of who I believe in.
Right.
And then who I am. Like, I'm going to make it happen regardless.
Yeah.
And
you,
so
you make it necessary. It's like some things are not required where you are. And it's, you'll never, I talk to them all the time about some doors don't open till you walk up to them. You don't need it until you need it. You can't pray for $1 million check and not have a bank account, right? So
and you said something right there, right? A lot of people pray for the big opportunity, but they're not prepared for it.
Right.
So like you're paying for $1 million contract, but you don't have the resources or foundation in place to support that contract. So to answer that question is like, you need to have some money in, but depending on your business model, it will, I think, depend on the amount that you might need. Like if your car starting a mechanic shop and you need lifts and all that stuff to move, it's a different upfront investment. If you're using your intellect to start your business, jump in there, eat McDonald's for 3 months, 4 months, and let's create a business.
let's do that. Julie, what can you answer that question, and then I'll add something to that question too. And if you have any others, please post them in the chat.
Absolutely. So I definitely agree that if you wait for this perfect moment, perfect number, you're never going to do it. So my journey was, I was working for a small business that was slowly declining for various reasons. And at the time, I was the one bringing more of the income into our household. We also had made the decision, unknowing of my downfall of income, that my husband would leave his job at a very good company with stable benefits and all of that to pursue a career in software development. So he went to school, he got certified, and all of this was, in the end, you're gonna get that really good job that we need, right? And so we made that leap for him to go pursue something new. My income started to downfall rather quickly. Thankfully, we have family that is very supportive. We're very resourceful. I had multiple jobs. We made it work. And in trying to shift from, I don't need to go get another job, I just need to build my business. And it was a mindset shift, because like you said, if you wait for that right number to go make the jump, you don't, out of fear that there's not going to be enough, or out of fear it's not going to work out. And so I quickly realized it was my mindset stopping me, because it was easy for me to go get another job and consume more of my time in another person's business than to make the shift. So once I was able to change my mind on that, then it was like, okay, I'm quitting all of them, and I'm gonna go focus on my business, and we're gonna make it work, because we've proven to ourselves that we can. Even when we didn't plan on all of this happening, we didn't know the income was gonna fall, but we made it work. So we proved that we can stay afloat. So let's go do this. And so even in my husband going on interviews and not getting the job that we thought he would have right out the gate, we still stayed persistent and still like in the belief, like, what did we set out to do? Let's not deter from what we set out to do. And so really it is, like you guys said, all about mindset and what is the purpose and your why. If your why wavers or you're not sure of your why, you're very easily going to just go back. You're very easily just going to fold. And so when we felt like we may fold, it was having the discussion of why. what is the reason? Why did we
Yeah.
start this in the first place?
Yeah.
And so as the journey started going, we kept coming back to the why, kept coming back to our goals. He eventually got the job that was able to get us back afloat, able to get the new house, and I'm able to just focus on the business. And most importantly, I didn't want to go get another job because my kids are home, and I never thought I'd be a homeschool mom or just be with my kids all of the time. And I absolutely love it. And I would not sacrifice it for anyone. So I'm like, we got to make it work. There's no other choice because I'm not sacrificing this thing that makes me so happy.
Right.
And so it's all about mindset, and your why is your compass.
Yeah. That is so good. And, kudos, fellow homeschooling mom over here. So I have two that I homeschool, and they have never been to school. Actually, they're 10 and 7. I think my 10-year-old did 3 months of kindergarten, but that's it. And then I have two 22-year-olds now. Those were those were the twins that I had as a teen. So I totally get it. There are some things I'm unwilling to compromise on, right? But here's, you guys said some really cool things. I often refer back to Undercover Billionaire. You guys that were here at another session probably heard me refer to that awesome reality show, Undercover Billionaire, season 1, specifically season 1. Like there's another season, there's like 2 or 3 seasons, but season 1, there's so much in there that you can just glean. And one of the things that we all understand, and one of the things, I think his name is Glenn, that he said is, you can't focus on building the business when you are still trying to meet your regular needs, like your physical, like money, food and shelter. So he gets dropped into a place he's never been before in the middle of winter with a truck and $100. And his goal is he has to build $1 million business in 90 days. He only gets $100, no access to his bank account, no access to his phone or his contacts, and he has to do it from scratch. And so you get to kind of watch the process, and it's the same process we all go through as entrepreneurs. I remember sitting and saying, okay, what does it cost to live without the cushy stuff? Because this is not permanent. This is only for a period of time until I build my business. So how much food do I need? What are my bills? What can I get rid of? I don't need 2 cell phones. I don't need the big plan. I don't need cable. I can get rid of like 100 subscriptions. Like there are things that you can reduce down to for a season. And we live in a different climate. I was doing this in the AOL dial-up days, and I'm not even 40 yet, y'all. I'm still 39. So that's not that long ago. Let's be clear. But we live in a gig economy. You can DoorDash as a moonlight. You can Uber. Like there's so much that you can do to make you feel better while you shift your mind. And remember, it's not the place of always. It's just a stepping stone toward what you ultimately want to do. So I think that was cool. Thank you so much for answering that. Kimberly, Deanna, do you guys have any questions that you want to pose to the panelists? I'll give you a second. Nathaniel, do you have any?
Yeah, there's actually another question here. I'm going to read it. It says, a lot of entrepreneurs who start off assume they have to do everything by themselves until they generate enough income to hire a team. Do you all do that? Or do you use systems like Fiverr or virtual assistants to help you with tasks as you worry about growing the business on a larger level? So do you seek for help and pro help way?
That's a good question.
You want it?
I kind of think I know what Julius is going to say, but go ahead, Julius, please attack that question. Do you wait for the income before you hire a team?
So it's twofold. Yeah, so it's twofold. It's like I really push everybody to read the book that I had mentioned earlier, because it's going to answer a lot of the questions that just got posed. But one of the things is that while you're building, like, so for instance, right now, we just did a rebrand. We rebranded the site. Social is getting rebrand. A lot of social is being done by a VA, and not a social media person in-house. The reasons why, because for where we're at, we don't need a social media body full time. We need technical. That's our business. Like, we need technical folks. So in that process though, but that's why I had mentioned that book is very critical, because you need the who's. So as you're moving and growing your business, there's other people that are be able to fill a gap for you, that you could fill a gap for them.
Yeah.
So
What's the
I've grown
title of the
that
book
way.
is?
And when Who Not How by Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy.
Dan Sullivan.
Yeah.
Dan
And
Sullivan too, sorry?
Benjamin Hardy, I believe, Dr. Benjamin Hardy. It's actually
There's another book while you're adding it, Who Not How, another book similar, and then please finish what you were saying, but Rocket Fuel is another one. Rocket Fuel is by Gino Wickman. It's the one essential combination that'll get you more of what you want in your business. And it talks about the visionary versus the implementer or integrator. So, you know, how you need to have like that combination. And it talks about like Walt Disney, that combination, the guys that started McDonald's, like they didn't both bring the same kind of thing to the table. And so that's a really good one too, if you want to add that, Rocket Fuel. But please finish your comment, Julius.
Yeah, like for me is throughout this process, I did have a previous partnership that didn't necessarily work out as well. And in that, it's understanding that, like, you know, you have visionaries, you have executors, but you also have work ethics, right?
Yeah.
So in the process of, you got to make sure that your work ethic aligns with the people that are helping you cast vision, also the people that are deploying your vision.
Yeah.
Because like the weaker links causes a shift in the business. And a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we get so close to the people that we bring on that we create a family organization. So we bleed and don't want to cover the wound. We keep bleeding because we don't want to hurt the people, their family. But sometimes as you make decisions in scale, you have to say, hey, am I going to bleed or am I going to make money?
Yeah.
And and that's where I say, like, if you're adding the people, if you're going to add, just make sure that this is what I look for as we add employees, that you're competent. Because I personally, one of my things is I don't do very well with incompetence.
Yeah.
So you're competent. You report to some type of higher power.
Yeah.
Because it holds accountability. And then also that you have the vibe that we have in our culture. Like you're able to vibe. You're not a person that doesn't mix, because it has to feel good. And it's not just about clocking in. Like, we need to joke together. We need to fellowship together, but we also need to get the business done. So that's how we look at it. But being able to put the pieces in place, I say utilize your network as long as you can to maximize your results in your business. And then as the revenue comes, then fill the places that you need to, and prioritize what those things really, really are in the process too. So that's just my feedback.
That's awesome. Julie, do you want to add to that, or are you good on another question?
I can add to it a little bit.
Oh yeah.
So definitely utilizing my network. So actually one of my clients, she's one of them that I helped start her business. And so she is a graphic designer and she's really good at what she does, even though she doesn't see how amazing she is, especially from my experience of working with graphic designers on various different projects. And so I kind of brought her on to provide us with services for graphic design, especially in the world of social media where you need so many visuals and marketing and advertising. She's been a huge asset. And so we've kind of built this bartering system of you provide me services, I'll provide you services, and it worked really, really, really well. I will say that as you start growing, and if you enter into a bartering agreement, be very clear of expectations, because there is a difference between a client who pays you money for what you're going to deliver, and this switching of services, there isn't equal of the value, of the monetary value. And then the lines can be blurred of deadlines and to the what level are you going to deliver. So I would definitely say that's one of the things, as I've entered into different bartering situations, where you want to be very, very clear of what you need, what your expectations are of what you need, and then what you are going to give in return. I have started to explore this whole virtual assistant thing. So I was wondering, Julius, if you could give a little information in your experience with the virtual assistant thing, because there's a new world that I'm like dipping my toes into, but not sure I'm quite ready.
So the virtual assistant is definitely it could be a lot, because most times you're communicating with people that are not from here, and you might get something that's here. So like I say venture into virtual assistants when you're organized internally. It makes the external communication with them better. They do a great job, but if you don't have a good training process in-house, it's not gonna work with a VA. You're gonna be wasting money. So it's very, very good, because you can get a lot of stuff done at a reduced rate and be able to have consistency and have more than just one person. But it's just the when you first start it, you're putting in some work, or the person that you assign to it is definitely going to be putting in communication work, guidance on what you're looking for in that process. But it is a reward to be able to hand that off to someone as you scale.
Right.
So there's pros and cons to having a VA, but it is something that a lot of corporations are doing.
Yep.
So it's just, you have to like measure where you're at in your business to whether you can handle that.
I would say, I would just add two things to that, Julius. That's a good point. First of all, know what you want, please. Because when you don't know what you want, that's when it gets really expensive really quickly. Real expensive real fast, because you're trying to figure out and build the position, and you're not being clear on what you want, or you tailor a description to what you know someone's capabilities are, and the brunt of that is just, after a while, it gets real frustrating, because you start tailoring to, oh, I know this person can do. And it's like, I know they can do that, but what do you need like right now? So be really, really clear on that. That's for everyone. There is actually a person that I had on my podcast recently. They have an amazing kind of virtual assistant / matchmaking thing specifically for small businesses. The name of their organization is Boulo Solutions, BOULO solutions.com. What is so amazing about this is they specialize in getting like women back into the workforce, particularly moms. And so they work with a lot of professional women who, let's say, have left the workforce to be with their families, but these are like C-level executives, or your bookkeepers and CPAs and marketing execs who have decided, you know what, I want to be with my family. I'm not committing to a corporate anything for 80 hours a week, but I still want to be at, I want to be I still want to be at the level, and I don't want to compromise career or kids. And so they've come up with a way where the women that they have are degreed, they are high level, they give high level service. And so they work with you on identifying what you need. And the good thing is they can scale with you, because these women also are not looking for 40 hours. So it works because they can work with you as a small business. So check them out, Boulo Solutions. They were just on my podcast. We didn't, I don't know when their episode gets released, but you can definitely learn more about them on their website. That's another resource for you. Look at that, full of resources today. You are leaving out the door with some things. With some things. Who else has a question? Nathaniel, do you have one? If not, I do have one other that I'd like to throw out. And we are already at an hour, guys. Isn't that crazy? That was a quick conversation. But I do, if you would, describe your leadership style. And I want you to really share what your leadership style is. And I'll preface it with this. One of the things that I've learned during COVID and during just this period of uncertainty, which I'm very certain because, like you, Julius, I stand on solid rock. So I'm all good all the time. My book is called Water Walker. I'm just saying, this is what we do. As we're leading during these times, I've discovered a lot about myself. And I know that I am not a taskmaster, first of all. Like, that's not me. I'm not a taskmaster. I'm not a big project and here are all the deliverables type leader. I am more of a heart leader. And I try to reach the heart of the folks that are on my team because I know the mindset of the people that I need to be surrounded with so that we can serve at the level that we need to serve. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I spend a lot of time reaching the heart of my team because I would consider myself a heart leader. I don't even know if that exists, but if it didn't, I just made it up. Okay, so I lead like that. Can you describe kind of your leadership style? Has it changed? Have you become more intentional during this time?
Yeah, so for me is with our employees is that I guess we introduce more compassion inside of how we operate because COVID has changed people, how they respond, what family members they've lost. So the way they're operating throughout this whole process has been unique because they can be personally up and down every day. So if you lead by compassion, you end up getting the best out of people because that's one thing, my wife and I and the rest of our team have realized is that you get the best out of people because they believe that you actually physically care.
Right.
So like through this opportunity, we've actually blessed individuals, financially that we know, hey, you're getting a paycheck, but here's a little something extra that we were able to do because this client, we were more profitable. And then people outside of what we do. So I think looking at the whole level of leadership for me is I lead different than my wife leads. Because coming from corporate and coming from sales, your revenue, you have like targets, like you're supposed to close $2 million this quarter. Like, where are we at?
Right.
So like in that process, we do there, but I introduced a little bit more compassion in the process to know that like there's other factors happening. And one thing that also in leadership as well is that you really, 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 really have to make sure that your vision is clear and realize that everybody doesn't cast vision, right? So sometimes in leadership, like you're expecting this person to cast vision or be able to come up with this idea, but that's not really what they are. So you have to be comfortable understanding that that's not their capabilities and don't try to force it on them.
Right.
And you go to your who's and try to figure out how can you fill that gap while you're trying to build the revenue to bring the person in to do it. So that's what I learned through COVID.
Listen, Julius, what we need to do, I'm so serious. The same way I'm about to put together this whole training on Undercover Billionaire and just the mindset of, $1 million business in 90 days, not the get rich quick, but what it takes to leap, to really jump and walk. You and I need to do a who, not how symposium, okay? Just go through the principles of the book and the who, not how, because it's so, you're like, first of all, I have the book downloaded to my Kindle. I think that's
The
what
audio book is great because when it comes to reading, I get distracted. So the
Me too.
audio.
Me too. And I always,
Okay.
my saying is, if it's more than 100 pages, I need to see the movie anyway. And so I'm struggling in and of myself. That's why my book is 100 pages,
Yeah.
because anything more, I'm like, woo, where's the movie and the footnotes, right? So audiobook is amazing, but that Who Not How, oh my God. That's a must. That's a must. And thank you for bringing that back up, because that's me all day. And that's actually where I find myself in my own business, which is, growing and thriving. But there's levels of frustration with like, come on now, giddy up. Now, are we all going to the same place?
Because like as an entrepreneur, when you know you're great at a lot of different areas and you can do it, it's like, I'm just going to do it.
Right.
But like, and that was me sometimes where I had to realize, hey, I have the team in place. I have to trust.
Yeah.
Like I have to find the who's, not the hows. And that book has really helped. But you already have it, but it just unlocks some parts of your brain that has been closed because you're in an entrepreneurship drive. Like you got to get it done. Like the client don't want to hear that this didn't happen, this, and that. And if this person wants to show up at 11 o'clock and he's supposed to be there at 9, like we got to get it done. So it definitely, I think that's definitely a mindset change. And then as far as like leadership, one thing that I'm personally doing, I've surrounded myself with a network of people that are at a certain level.
Yeah.
So putting yourself at a certain level, and then I'm also finding a new mentor.
Yeah.
That I want to get the results. I don't want to be like that client and get to buy the course. Like I really want to get intimately involved in how your brain moves. So I have two that I'm talking to now, and that's my move to constantly be able to develop and learn at a high level. Because like one thing that one good person has told me is that, how have you evaluated the level of success that you're reaching? Because if you've never reached all the way up here, you set the level to a level that you think is like possible. So it's good to have a mentor that can stretch you, that say, hey, you were looking to do 20 million.
Right.
Like you can do 100 million. Just you haven't seen it. And I've seen it because I've been where you were.
Right.
So that's where personally I'm at now. And my wife we looking for that mentor that can, drive us to, the numbers, past the numbers that we're already doing. But
got it. For sure. For sure. Julie, how would you describe your leadership style? What kind of leader are you? And then if there are any other questions, we'll close with those.
I would say I'm somewhere in between the taskmaster and the leader with the heart, because God knows I've been in situations where I needed my supervisor, whoever, to be compassionate about life circumstances. And when they weren't, what that feels like, how life has to shift when they are not. And so I am definitely a very empathetic person as well, maybe sometimes to not my benefit. But I'm also the taskmaster because I've learned that being very clear of expectations so that when what you get back, you didn't expect the person to read your mind. Even though sometimes you think that things are very clear, like this, it's step 1, 2, 3. And so I just need you to do 1, 2, 3. And when that didn't happen, then they skipped 2. You're like, wait a minute. And so that, I think, also my background in positions where we had to be very project management oriented, those are the skills that I took away, that I learned of, let's outline what we need to do here. These are my expectations and give it to me. And when they're not, that's where my heart comes from. Well, why didn't those expectations get met? And let's help you get to that place.
Yeah, I love it. That's good stuff. Are there other questions, Nathaniel?
No, I don't have any questions right now.
I just have one last thing. Throughout this process, which I did notice as well, is that be careful who you cast your vision on, because if their mind's small, it makes your mind small.
Yeah.
You can't talk to an infant. I can't talk to my 10-year-old son about adult stuff because he can't comprehend it. So
Right.
it's the same thing that happens in business is sometimes you think that person is qualified more than what they are. And one slight comment can alter your mindset. So in this season, as you're growing, just be diligent on who you share your visions with, who you allow to cast vision into you. And then
Yeah.
also, just controlling, like it says, your air gates, like what you hear, how you
Yeah.
hear it, and the environments you put yourself in. Because, getting beat up and casting a vision and it don't come to light, it can hit home, especially when you've invested time and money.
Yeah.
And sometimes people, can pray against what you're trying to do, or be working on a business that counters or competitive to yours because you've cast a vision that you didn't need to cast. So that's
Yeah.
one thing I've learned is in this process, because there's an opportunity that I had a conversation with someone about, and they kind of spoke ill will about it, and it didn't hurt my business, but it stopped another opportunity from happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And those are the kinds of things like you kind of learn as you're going, right? As you're going and as you're growing, you're learning these things. We mentioned, I mean, just a lot just in this conversation, and I pray that this has been an impactful conversation. This is good. These are good tips. We gave good resources and everything in the chat. So make sure you copy those. Julius mentioned about having a mentor or a coach or an advisor. And I think the last time we spoke, I did talk about the three. And I believe that every small business should have all three: a coach, a mentor, and an advisor. And then they all have different functions, right? So your coach is like, your football coach or your basketball coach, right? You can be as talented as you want to, LeBron James, but you need a coach, because your coach sees what you cannot see, right? Your coach sees from a different perspective and is able to challenge you, help you get to where you want to go, right? So you think about the football team, there's defensive coaches, offensive coaches, coaches in the stands, coaches on the floor. They all see something different, right? And so a coach is that kind of a person. My coach personally is the person that has to often remind me of the great woman of God that I am, the great leader, and has to constantly kind of whip me back into shape. Serena, wait, why are you coming down? Why are you coming down? You're supposed to be going up, not come down, not in your mindset, not in your talk. That word belongs out of your vocabulary. So that's what my coach is doing. Coach / therapist, right? That's what my coach is anyway. But a mentor, oftentimes a mentor is someone who you're learning from, but not in a very organized way, right? It is someone who has allowed you access to them, and your learning happens, but it's not always intentional. If you understand what I'm saying. A mentor is often, like my mentor is a multi-millionaire who is as humble as, I don't know what you would never know it. Very, very humble, lots and lots of businesses. And he allows me to kind of walk beside him. So we build certain, we have something that we've even created together. And he'll do things like call a meeting and then say, oh, Serena, sorry, I got pulled into something else, run the meeting. Sir, really? But he's mentoring me as well as allowing me access. Do you understand what I'm saying? But it's more of a mentorship than we have a set time that we meet to go over my things, right? Then I have advisors. I have a board of it, well, a couple of advisors, right? And this is over and above my accountant advisor, my legal advisor, right? Because you have those are advisors. But then you can have advisors that are kind of almost coach mentor combinations, right? So my advisors specifically, they teach me, or they help me to govern. They keep my business mission and vision at the forefront, and they make sure that we're always aligned. We're always aligned. Whereas my coach is making sure I'm always aligned. Do you understand what I'm saying? My advisors are making sure that our services are aligned to the mission we've stated. we are fulfilling. We are doing what we said we're created and designed to do. And so, and you may have not, people have different opinions about those three because they can look different. And sometimes that's, one person can really be that for you. For me, it's three different distinct folks because I just know what I need at this point. And I totally underestimated the value of having that before. And I've built pretty nice sized companies without that. I think I would have built nice sized companies with a different level of sustainability had I had that though. And so you can do it alone, but you shouldn't, period. So I hope that was helpful, just that breakdown, because though I think as you grow and go into this next season, as we brave this new world post-COVID, you're gonna have to have the good team around you. You're going to have to feed yourself as an entrepreneur. That's what those resources that our awesome guests have provided to us. You're going to have to be willing to step, even if you can't see the whole staircase. You're going to have to be willing to do what you can where you are with what you have. And so you're going to have to be willing to just take that good leap. Okay. How's that for a session today?
Oh, that was a wonderful conclusion, that's for sure. Thank you for that, Serena.
Awesome. Awesome. So with that, we are done. Julie, did you have anything you wanted to add? Julius, did you have anything you wanted to add? If not, Nathaniel's going to close us out here.
I just want to add that I think finding your why is a really struggle for a lot of people. And there's just, you have to know your why. So spend time being very clear, and that might not come to you right away. It may take weeks. Journal, meditate, pray, whatever you need to do, but I think that's where you need to start, especially if you're on the fence of jumping or not. Once you get clarity on your why and the purpose in that, everything else comes together.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much.
One thing I always say as well is I really don't like the word trying.
Mm-hmm.
And this is I've always associated to, it's a terrible reason why individuals never grow. Because
I love that.
We're always trying.
Can you put that acronym in the chat, please, sir?
Yeah. So, and that's something like I was sitting there. So like, I don't say I'm trying, like, because I hear that and it frustrates me so bad. It's like, I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do better. Like, we're not trying, we're going to do it. So if in your role, if you can not say trying and get certain words out of your vocabulary, it's going to feed your spirit and feed your mental. So that's just my recommendation.
I love it.
Great stuff, yeah. Don't try, succeed.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Julius. Thank you, Julie and Serena. Thank you, Kimberly, for being with us. And Jasmine was here. And thank you, Cassandra. I see you there. And it was great.
Hey.
You are.
How are you guys?
I appreciate you being with us. And like I said, thank you very much. And hope to see you around and catch up with you all some other day.
All right. Thanks again.
Take care.
Awesome.
Thank you.
This has been awesome. Thank you.